use. Okay, so all right, so it's time. All right, so welcome all of you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. My name is Abubakar San Ali, and I will be the one who will go through the workshop with you on Python programming masterclass. All right, so uh, as I said, this is my profile in case if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay, I did my PhD in electrical engineering and computer science, and what I worked on is to build AI powered systems specifically for the communication systems. I am also a visiting researcher at Khalifa University, and I have been lecturing at Bayer University for the past about 7 years now. So I welcome you to this session once again. The host institution is called Asataura Services, and it is based on Sharjah. It is registered in Sharjah, which is in the United Arab Emirates. What we do is we offer consulting services, we offer training and workshops, and also we offer research and development. So how do you get lesser resources? Okay, we have so many people who have joined the sessions in the previous month, and they have always asked, how do we get access to the lecture note as well as the course? Okay, so this is what we provide for you. We have our learning platform, which I will show you how you can use it so that you can always be able to access the learning resources. Okay, so we will show you how to do that once we start. So before we start, I would like to mention that this is supposed to be an interactive session. So if you have any questions in the course of the class, you can send your question in the chat, or if you prefer to speak up, then you can raise up your hand, and I will give you the floor to speak. All right, is that clear? Awesome. All right, so we're going to learn Python, and this is going to be one of 4 sessions that we are going to hold throughout the month of March. So each session is going to build on the previous session. Today's session, we are going to have a starting point where we will learn about variables as well as learn about comments and user input. Then the subsequent sessions, we are going to build on what we've learned in the previous session so that by the end of the 4 sessions, you'll be able to master Python programming. All right. So I hope you will be able to join the next sessions as well. So why do we encourage people to learn Python? Well, first of all, Python is an incredibly efficient language. When we say language is efficient, it means it is, in terms of speed compared to other languages, you can say Python is good enough. Of course, there are more efficient languages than Python. For example, C or C sharp, or C++. Sorry, these are like faster compared to Python. Not only that, one of the reasons why we like Python is because you get to do more with few lines of code. You don't have to write so many lines of code, and you can be able to achieve a lot more than what you can achieve if you are using other languages. Another thing is that the syntax of Python is very clean. When we say code is clean, it means that like things are structured well with functions, with the classes. Everything looking very well structured without having things in a haphazard way. And Python by default makes it compulsory for coders or programmers to make sure their code is clean. And you will see all that, and we will explain further why this is important. It can be used for different purposes. You can use Python to learn and build games. You can build web applications. You can use Python to build and solve business problems. as well as develop internal tools for all kinds of interesting companies. So you can do lots of things. And now with AI, Python is what we call the lingua of AI, or the language that is used to build AI systems. So if you know Python, then you will surely have an edge. Okay, especially now that AI is trending, and I believe for the coming years, Python is going to add a lot of value. Okay, so this is some of the reasons why Python, and why do we always teach our students Python in engineering, in the faculty of engineering. Okay, so many reasons. I don't know how many of you have programmed with Python before. If you have programmed with Python, please can you just indicate? If not Python, then which programming language have you used before? I would like to know if you have some background with programming before. Can just send it in the chat. Okay. Anybody with some programming experience, or this is the first time you are going to program? Okay, ASP.NET C Sharp. All right. And yeah, when you were building web application, you use it to build web applications, or you use it to build what will I say, softwares, software applications like desktop softwares. Okay, Mauro used Python. All right. Okay, web applications. Okay, so you will see how Python is a little bit different from C Sharp and the things you can do with that. So Mauro, like you used Python before, you are using it in Google Lab or in Google Colab. Yeah, we are also going to use Google Colab. Okay, of course, one of the reasons why we use Google Colab is because we do not have to waste time doing setup. If you are going to use any of the Anaconda packages, then it's going to require us to take a lot of time to set up the environment. And that will, take away most of the time that we will have rather spent trying to understand and learn the syntax of Python. So we are going to use Google Colab as well. So how deep have you gone in Python, Mauro? Okay. All right. So I think some people have programmed before and they have some good programming experience. So I hope by the end of the session you will still be able to gain some value at the end of the session. Okay. So as I said, yeah, Jupyter notebooks. I'm using it to teach programming. Okay. Yes. Yes. We also use Jupyter notebooks, but as I said, because of the time factor, we do not want to use Jupyter now during the session because we will have to now set up all the environments. Okay. So I hope at the end of the day, all the others too will be able to get their hands on with Python. So let's move on. So these are some of the reasons why we use Python. Okay. So let's get started. If you want to install Python locally on your system, you can actually go to the Python org page. Okay, you can just Google it, python.org, and you will be able to see the downloads icon, which you can use to download Python on your system. Then Python is going to be installed on your system, which you can actually run through the command prompt. Okay, so you can try to see if you open your command prompt and you put the code Python, then it is going to initiate the Python environment for you. Okay, so let's see that happen and let's see how it will work. Okay, so I will open my command prompt. Okay, so I already have Python installed on my PC. So in your case too, you can just go to python.org and you can install Python. Okay, so as you can see, I have Python 3.11 okay, which is the latest version as of July 5th, 2023. Okay, so we can try something. What we always try at the first instance is hello world or the hello programming world, you know. So we would like to print hello world. As you can see, the print statement allows you, the user, to be able to visualize and see an output from the computer. Whatever you pass to this print statement is going to be outputted for you. So this is what you see here, hello world. All right. So this is Python running in the shell, which you can also do. However, as we indicated, you prefer to use Google Colab, which is used mostly if you are going to teach Python. All right. And if you're going to learn Python, it comes with so many benefits. For example, it is cloud-based Python programming environment, so you do not have to install anything on your local device. It has also free access to powerful computer resources. So if your computer has maybe low computing power, okay, for example, you do not have GPUs on your machine, at least you can leverage the GPUs that are available on Google Colab. Not only that, it allows collaboration and sharing of code. And this is something you will see. I will ask you to send me your Gmail accounts, which I will now add you as collaborators to the file which you are going to run. And then based on that, you can be able to also work on the same file. And if you have any questions or comments, you can write the questions and comments, and I can be able to come and assist you with that. It allows us to run complex simulations and what have you. Okay. It also helps with data analysis and visualization to get insights. Basically, when Colab was introduced, most of the applications initially were for data analysis, where we have data analysts trying to visualize and make sense of data. So you will be able to generate all these plots, bar chart, pie chart. You can also generate histograms, line charts, and so on. And you do not have to install anything. All that you need to do, AI and machine learning application, is provided for you on Google Colab. All you have to do is just type in Colab in your Google uh, search, and then it will take you to the page for you to start. All right. So we are gonna do that. We're gonna log into our Google account and we would like to print hello world just like we did in the shell. Okay. So let me know if you want to have access to the activity code. Okay. Then share your Gmail account and I will share it with you. Okay. Okay. So this is going to be the activities which we are going to go through. By the end of the session, we will go through all of this one by one. Okay. So let me have your email address and I will share this with all of you so that you also can have access to them later on. So how do you do this? As I said, you can just go and type, Google. Here you can just put Google Colab and it will open this. You can see Google Colab, which is the first one here. Make sure you come here, you can see sign up. So the moment you sign up, it will ask you for your email. I already have an account. Okay. So just use the free version. Don't worry about all this paid version. Okay. Or you can just click open Colab here, which is easier. So just open Colab and it will open it for you. You will be able to come across this, and if you are just starting, you just say new notebook and you can start with a new notebook. So that's how you open Colab and how you use it. So here, this is where you name your Colab. You can say my first code, for example, for those who have not been coding. Okay. So here you write the code. So this is Google Colab interface. You can see you have file where you can save and load your files. Here you have cells. So colab comes with these cell structures where cells are divided into two types of cells. We have code cells and we have text cells. Code cells, these are where you type in your Python code and you can run them, whereas the text cells are to provide you with textual and making some notes for your students or for yourself. All right. So let's start with a simple, let's say text. I can move this up. Let me say, okay, first trial, first code. So let's run it. We will print the same thing we did in the shell. I will print hello world. Okay, so once you have your code ready, you have two options. You can press either shift enter and your code will run, or you click on the play sign and it will run that cell. Okay, so this will run. This is the first time, so it's taking a while. Okay, I got an email from Gada. Okay, I will share the activity file with you. Okay, so as you can see, our computer has given us an output saying hello world. Hello world. All right, so this is the first thing you need to do. Okay, if you are going to be creating your notebooks, you can use Google Colab. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so for those who have shared their email, I will be sending this to you. I will be sharing this with you, and you can be able to follow through afterwards, and you can practice this as well. Okay. And others, I will send the link also in the chat. You can try it out. Let's make it anyone with the link and the editor. Okay. Like this. Okay. All right. So you have access to this. So when you're gonna try some activities, because I'm not gonna go through all of this, I will do most of them, but I will leave some for you to try during your free time. So what I want from you when you are going to try an activity, okay, just create a new cell like this, create a new code, and write a comment, maybe write your name. In my case, I can write Abubakar, okay, put the hash. We will talk about this later during the course of the session, and then you can write your code. Why do I want to see your name? Because if you have an issue, you can just come here, you see the comment, add comment. So you can click here and you can tell me like, okay, I am having difficulty with this or something like this, and you can use the at and you can look for me. Okay, where is my name? Yeah, the Abubakar is fine. Okay, you can try any of these. I can be able to access. Okay, so this is how you collaborate with others. So now let's do the first activity. Okay, before we go to the first activity, now that I think most of the attendees are here, if you want to access the recordings of the session, what you need to do is you can come to Asat Academy. Okay, I will send the link also in the chat. We put everything here. This is our learning platform, asatacademy.ai. You can start is free. You can start for free. You can sign up as a learner. For example, I can maybe put my name, Abubakar test.com, and create an account. Okay, so if you come here, you can be able to see most of our classes. For example, you can see some of the self-paced learning classes, or you can come all the way to events. Okay, so events here, we have upcoming events and we have past events. So this class, you will see it as an upcoming event, which will be Python Programming Masterclass March 2024. This was for the previous month, February. And if you open any of this one, you'll be able to come across the detail of the course, and you see the sessions. These are the sessions. We had 4 sessions last month. This month too, we're going to have at least 4 sessions to cover the material. You can open each program here, and as you can see, you will have the recording for yourself to watch at your own leisure later on. You want to download the resources, which is the lecture note. You can click here. You should be able to download the lecture note, and this is the first one. All right. So we also have incorporated so many features for you. For example, we have in the learning tools, we have assignment checker, we have practice exam and teaching assistant. All of these are meant for you to get some value. Okay, the assignment checker, I will show you how you can use it. All right, you can pick the course and then you can indicate the question, which in our case is going to be, yeah, Google Colab works like PyCharm. Depends though. The benefit of Google Colab is that you can be running yourselves. Even that is a feature you can also have in PyCharm. Okay. In PyCharm too, you can run some parts of the code instead of running the whole code in the debug mode. Okay. And same thing with Google Colab. So yeah, if you have PyCharm, you can also do the same thing we are going to do in Google Colab. Everything you can do in Google Colab, you can do it also in PyCharm. I use Python as well when I'm writing most of my working course. But when I'm teaching, I use Colab. It's the most. It has the best interface for beginners. Okay. All right. So let's go back so that we can. Yeah, it looks like Jupyter actually. It was built based on Jupyter. Uh, Not just Google Colab. Actually, so many different tools out there that provide what we call cloud programming environment. For example, if you are an Azure engineer, okay, this is a development tool. For example, like this code here, you see, this our app, we hosted it on a cloud environment so that everybody can be able to access it there. And when we are implementing the AI, we were using a notebook kind of interface. Also looks like a Jupyter notebook. So because so many researchers are very acquainted with Jupyter Notebook, that's why Google Colab 2 looks like Jupyter Notebook. Because if you go for deployment in Google Azure and what have you, it will help you with that. Google Colab also supports OOP, supports object-oriented programming. It supports everything you can do in Python. There is nothing you can do in Python that you cannot do in Google Colab. All right. Okay. So let's go back to the class, to the lecture note. All right. So let's look at the first part. Now that we have set up our environment, let's learn variables. What are variables? What are they? And how can we use them? So variables are like containers. Okay. They are what we call some magic box. You have a magic box. It's something that normally changes with time, right? So your box can hold different things, and this is where the name variable comes from. Because if you look at your wallet or your bank account, you can see your balance could be anything. Today maybe you will have $10,000, tomorrow you will have eight, the day after you will have 100,000. So the amount that the bank account holds is variable. Therefore, what we can name your bank account as account balance, we call this a variable. So for example, here we have a simple variable that we define as message. We call this variable message. And what is this message holding? It is holding a value. So this is the value. What it is holding is the sentence hello Python world. This is the value the variable message is holding. So our variable here is called message. That means message could maybe at another instance be holding a different value. For example, it could hold what we saw earlier, hello world, you know, or it could hold my name is Abu Bakr. Okay, this is could be something that message could hold. So what it is holding is changing. And why do we do that? If I want to print hello world, I can use the print statement so that I can see it. I can do it like this, print hello world. Okay. But then assuming I want to do it again, I will have to type in print hello world once again. And another thing is, what if what I want to print is not hello world? What I want to print is hi. You know, that's what I want to print. Then I will have to also write print hi, you know. And if I want to print hi 100 times, I have to be writing print hi, print hi, print hi. But one thing I can do is I can say, okay, why don't I say message is equals to, in this instance, is going to hold the value hi, so that I can just say print message. So whatever message is holding, the print statement is going to print that exact thing. So if the message change from hi to hello, and I say print message, the output of the computer will be hello instead of message. The value has changed. Okay, so this is variable. This is what we call a variable in Python or any other programming language you've come across. So as you can see in this example, initially message was holding the value hello Python world, but then we changed the value the message is holding to hello Python crash course world. If you print this one, this is what is going to be printed for you. But if you change the variable to hold a different value and you say print message once again, then the new value is going to be the one that will be printed for you. So that's why you see this as the output given to you by the computer. So be careful. If you don't want to overwrite the value that your variable is holding, then use a different name. Okay, you can say message 1 is equals to hello Python world, and message 2 is equal to hello Python crash course world. So the computer, if you say print message 1, is going to print this first one. Print message 2 is going to print this one. If you say print message 1 again, it's going to still print hello Python world for you. All right. So all the time it is going to print the same thing, hello Python world, if you print message 1. So be careful. Don't overwrite your variable unless that is intentional, if that is what you are intending to do. Okay, so we know what variable is. Are there any conventions with regards to naming a variable? Yes. So these are some of the rules you should follow when you are naming your variable. One is that variable only contains letters, numbers, and underscore. So you cannot have a variable name, for example, you cannot say message at, at Google. This cannot be a variable because this character is not allowed. Okay, but you can do message underscore Google. This one is allowed. Okay, you can have numbers in your variable name, just like I did earlier. I said message 1 is one variable, message 2 is another variable. Okay, but you cannot start a variable name with a number. You cannot say one message. This is not allowed. Two message also not allowed. You cannot start with a number. You can start with an underscore, but not a number. Spaces are not allowed. So when you do message 1, the one has to be also immediately. You cannot have a space message and then you have space, you put 1. Spaces are not allowed. Okay, you cannot use spaces in variable name. But if you want to separate your variables, for example, message and Google, you want to use a space, then use underscore and write the second word. Okay. And this type of writing variables with this name, anybody who has an idea what we call this type of variable naming? With underscore separating two words. There is a specific name we use to call this type of naming convention. Any ideas? Yeah, so this we call it snake case. Okay. So if you are using underscore to separate between two words, that is called snake case. As another convention is to be capitalizing the next word. The first word you can write it in lowercase, then the second word will be starting with a caps, like this. And this one is camel case, right? Exactly. So you have these two conventions. You can pick any one you prefer, either the snake case or the camel case, to be naming your variables. Okay, but spaces are not allowed. Awesome. Yeah. Yes, Redin. That's very true. Camel case. Okay. So we want to also indicate that if you are naming your variable, try to avoid using Python keywords. Python comes with some keywords, as we will see. For example, the print, which we were using to output something to our screen, do not use this. It's not allowed. There are other keywords which you will come to learn of as we go into the sessions. So try to avoid using the Python keywords in naming your variable. We also say that the variable's name should be descriptive and short if possible. Okay. Don't be naming variables with things like X, Y, Z, When you are doing algebra, this is fine. X can be equals to 1 and you want to do X plus 1, you know. You want to run something like this in your formula, it's fine if you are doing algebra. But if you are programming, please use descriptive names. For example, instead of X, you can put age. Okay, on your birthday, then it is gonna be age plus 1. The age can be anything and it can be plus 1. So be careful when you are doing that. Also, when you are using lowercase and the uppercase later, okay, be careful as well. And variable names are case sensitive. So age is different from age, like this with lowercase a. So these are two different variable names. So be careful. Do not get confused with regards to this. Okay, so we come to the first activity and I'm going to switch now to Google Colab. I'm going to switch to Google Colab. If you have any question, you can ask in the chat. Okay, questions? Believe no questions. Okay, so we'll move to Google Colab now. Okay, so the first activity is asking us to write or assign a message to a variable and then print that message. So we will call that variable message, and the value is gonna hold is gonna be hello Python enthusiast. And we would like to print this. So we'll say print message. Okay, so we can run this by clicking the play button here, and the computer will print the variable message for us. Okay, as you can see, it has print help. Okay, so I put help, so let me correct it. Okay, so this is okay. So the next activity, we want to create also a variable, and we would like to print that message. Then we would like to change the value of the variable and then print it. So I will allow you to try this one during your own free time. Okay. So let's move to the next part of the session. I hope this part is clear. Naming a variable. Let me know if you have any confusion with regards to this part of the class. Awesome. So it's clear. All right. So let's move to the next part. So now we're going to move to strings. So we're going to start looking at data types. Okay. Uh, look at some simple data types. The first data type we're going to look at is called string. So whenever you want to have some outputs, okay, look at the app which I have shown you, which is our app. When I was trying to sign in, the landing page has some what? Has some text messages that were displayed to me, the user. So those text messages you saw were also part of a program. We wrote a program, and that program was used to print that message for the users who want to interact with our application. And that thing you saw in a text is nothing but a string. So whenever you want to print out any form of text to the user to see whether you are doing a game, you are trying to do a game, or you are trying to build a web app, you should also know that text or characters is represented as a string. What we did in the first activity where I printed out hello Python enthusiast, I put two quotations. And this is how you indicate to Python that what I'm doing is going to define a string, because I use quotation marks. If you do not have the quotation marks and you just say message equals to hello like this, then Python will raise an error. It will tell you this is wrong. But once you put the quotation either single or double, then you are okay. There will be no issues. Python will understand, okay, so you are trying to do or work with strings. Another thing to know is about the flexibility. For example, let's say we are trying to write a sentence. I told my friend, so we are going to quote myself here, Python is my favorite language. So because this is quotation, you cannot have double quotation outside and then write the quote inside also under double quotation. So what do you do to tell Python to understand the differences between your own quote and the quotes that indicate a string? Is to differentiate. Either you use a single quotation outside, then whatever you're gonna quote inside the text should be with double, or you go the reverse. That is, you use a double quotation outside, and whatever you're gonna use inside should be a single string. Okay, but if you have double double for both what you are quoting and what you are using to define a string, then Python will raise an error. So as you can see here, we have double, open and closing quotations or apostrophes, and here you have a single one, and Python will understand this, no problem. All right, so this is how a string is defined and how you work or how you create a string. But there are some methods that you can use to make your life a lot easier. For example, you are building a web app and somebody comes trying to sign up. So they wrote all their names in lowercase. All their names were written in lowercase. But you don't want that to be the case. You want to format the text that was written by the user. Okay? Just like what you do sometimes in Microsoft Word, you highlight a particular text and you say, use what? Uppercase. The text that is in lower will now be converted to upper. So how do you do that in Python? First of all, we have the first method called title. Okay, dot title. So if somebody comes trying to sign up to your web app and they put their full name as Ada Lovelace here, or Ada Lovelace. So by now taking that name that was given to you by the user and using the dot title, will now change the name, whatever it is, into the title case. The title case is the type of case where the first letter of the word of each word is capitalized. Okay, so L will also be capital, uppercase, and then the others will remain lowercase. Okay, so this is the first method, and this is something we normally do when we are building web applications. We would like to make sure we convert all the usernames or the full names of the users to have consistent form. Somebody prefers maybe to type in caps, but we don't want that to be the case for each and everyone. So that's what you would like to do. So for example, the dot you saw is an indication that you are going to call upon a method, and the method here is the title method, okay, the function. We have the dot upper. This will convert whatever text is given by the user to uppercase, to make it uppercase. And then you have also the dot lower. This will convert whatever the user imputed into lowercase. There are some instances where this could be the thing you want. For example, you can maybe set up a condition where you are expecting the user to type yes, yes in uppercase. But then the user typed in yes in lowercase. So of course you know that yes in lowercase and yes in uppercase signifies or indicates approval of the user. But as I told you, yes in lowercase is different from yes in uppercase. So the computer will get confused. So one thing you can do is to just use the yes dot upper, you know, and it will convert it into uppercase. Now the computer will understand and execute your condition. All right. So we also have something we call F strings. F strings. So this is important. When we are trying to make formatting in Python, we always want to use F strings. For example, let's say you have your web app, as I was indicating, where you ask the user to write their first name, in one input panel, and then write their last name in another input, you know, in another text field. So they wrote their first name and their last name. But then in the open page, you would like to welcome them. You like to write a message, hello, you know, hello user. So you don't want to use this generic user. You want to use their own name that they used when creating their account. So what do? You can replace this user. You can say, okay, hello. In this case, the user is Ada Loveless. But then we have different users, there is me, there is you. So how do we make sure that this is changing depending on the user? What we do is to say, okay, we already have a variable which we created called first name. We also have another variable which we created called last name. So every user that comes in, okay, what will he do? He will write his first name and his last name. And by doing that, we know their first name and we know their last name, which we can now leverage in our web app. So we can let's say, for example, in this case, we have hello Ada Loveless. And in my case, we will put hello Abubakar Ali. So this is how we want the app to work. But then, how do we do that in programming, in Python? So in order to do that, we use these F strings. And this is saying, let's format our message. Okay, we want to format the message or our full name. So what do? We can say format. Let's take the first name, and that's exactly what we did here. And then we also put last name. Look at the braces, okay, the curly braces. The curly braces are what you use to indicate variable. So you are saying whatever comes here is something that can change. In this case, it's a variable called first name, and in this example, first name is Ada. So if first name changed to, let's say, Mary, then the first name here will change to Mary Loveless. Okay, maybe it's the sister of Ada. All right. So once the first name change, also here will change. So another thing you can do, the hello, you can just put the F string. Hello is constant. Hello is not changing. So everybody that comes and signs up or signs into your app, you will always greet them with hello. So hello is what? Constant. So it stays. But what is it that changed? The name change. So the full name will change. Therefore, we can put full name inside. braces. So I will say hello Abubakar Ali, hello Ada Lovelace. You can change this input. All right. So this is how you use the F string. I hope that is clear. I know it's a little bit confusing F string, but if it's not clear, I can cite, and we can also see some examples when we move to the Google Colab. All right, this is clear. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna see how we can do all this in the next. Okay, so now we have another thing which is called the R strip and the L strip. Okay, these are methods also that you can use on your string. We have seen the dot title, we have seen the dot upper. These are things that you can do to change the form of your input, dot lower. So we also have the dot R strip and the dot L strip, as well as the dot strip. Okay, the three of them. Okay, so R strip is going to remove white spaces. Okay, maybe the input of the user could come in with white spaces, and this could cause an error or a bug in your system. So you want to make sure that if users are putting their username, for example, their username, and then they make a mistake of adding a space on their computer, they put a space. We would like to remove that space and just take the username without the space. So that is something you can do. You can use the R strip, because that's some common error that people make. Okay, because if, let's say, my username is Abubakar, I can write Abubakar. Because I'm used to typing, maybe I will just put space, you know. So here you can use the L strip to remove the left space. But if you put, let's say, the space before the username, you can use the R strip to remove all white spaces before Abubakar, or you can use the strip to remove all white spaces before and after the variable. Okay, so that's something you do when you are trying to also format your input and make sure you are getting the right output at the end of the day. Okay, so we are going to look at this activity now, activity 2. Let me know if this sounds okay, if everything is clear so far. Yeah, I'm gonna now share my Google Colab once again. Okay, so we are done with activity 1. Okay, let me indicate that this is, try it out, so that try it out yourselves. Okay. All right, so let's look at this activity 2.1, personal message. So use a variable to represent a person's name and print a message to that person. Okay. Your message should be simple, such as, "Hello, Eric. Will you like to learn some Python today?" Awesome. So let's try, let's call it name. Okay. So I said, try to make sure your variable is descriptive of what it is going to hold as a value, and let it be as short as possible. It's better to use name than to use the name of a person. This could also be a variable name of a person. It could be a variable name. It's very descriptive. So anybody who is trying to assign a value to this variable name of a person will not have an issue understanding what it is all about. But name too can do the same trick. So you can maybe make the name, in my case, let me try Abubakar. So maybe if you are practicing, try to use your name. All right. So let's write a message to Abubakar. Okay. And I will use the F string. I will write hello. Now we will put the braces. Inside we will put name. So any name, as long as name changes, this message will change given a name. So we can say hello Abubakar. That's what we would like to see. Will you like to learn some Python today? You know, and we would like to print this. So we'll say print message. Okay, so let's print message and see what happens. You see, hello Abubakar, will you like to learn some Python today? So let's say a new user comes in, Eric, let's see. I will just change there. You see now, hello Eric, will you like to learn some Python today? Okay, so we have our attendees here. Okay, we have a Gada, for example. You can try, hello Gada, will you like to learn some Python today? So this is how you are able to create all those text you see on web applications. All these things you are seeing the computer when they were building this web application of Google Colab, they were actually using things in this nature. You can see even the image here is a variable. This is for example, my name, Abubakar Sani. This is all a variable. So this is a string. Let's look at the next one. Name cases. Use a variable to represent a person's name, then print that person's name in lowercase, uppercase, and title case. Okay, so I can do the same. Let me call it name again. So this will override that one. But if you want to have a different one, maybe you can say name too. But let's go with name. Since I'm not going to run this again. Okay, so name here, I will also write Abubakar like this. So let's convert it. Let's print name.upper. Okay, sorry, this one. Okay, so let's see. You can see name has now been metamorphosed to become uppercase. All right, so let's print a different one, name.lower. You can see now name is in lowercase. Okay, even though initially the A was in uppercase, now it is all in lowercase. All right. Okay, title case too. You can just say I'm the title. My name is already in title case, but for the sake of this, let me put the B in caps. Let's print it out now and see. You can see the B now has been made lowercase. So that's how you use these two methods. All right. We have some other activities here. There is a famous quote from Albert Einstein. So I will allow you to try this one. Okay, I will go. So I will say try this out. Okay, try it out. Okay, we have another one. Repeat activity 2.3. I think. So you want to repeat activity 2.3 and you want to see this time call the name of the person. So this one too you can try it out. I will go with the 2.5. Stripping names. So we want to remove spaces between and after, or before and after a variable. So use a variable to represent a person's name and include some white spaces at the beginning and end of the name. Make sure you enter character combination, backslash type, and n at least once. Okay, so let's see. We have another variable name. Let's put a white space and let's write over. Okay, so let's see. I do, and let me even divide another one. Okay, so I will say name dot add strip. Let's see what happens. Okay, sorry, then we cannot be able to tell the difference, right? Anyways, let's see the other one too, and we might be able to tell the difference if they are all printed at the same time. Okay, and then print the strip. Okay, so let's print all three and see. You can see this one, R strip, we remove this, left strip we remove, and then this strip also remove the one. So strip will remove the before and after, you can see the difference here because this one has, for example, the white space is still there. All of this is white, so that's why you can see the difference. Okay, Dominic is asking. Yes, Dominic, we have another one next week. Okay, but we are not gonna treat the same topic that we just finished today. So maybe let me show you how you can be able to access the recording of this session. Okay, quickly before you go. I hope others do not mind. Okay, so let me show you. I will send the link in the chat. You can go to our application, startacademy.ai, and you can be able to access the recording of the whole session within 24 hours. Okay, within 24 hours, you can be able to get access to this. Okay, so very quickly, if you have our app, just go and start for free. You can sign in, right? Name and the password. I already created one account earlier, so I will just come here. I will put my .com. Okay, sign in, Castellana, and okay. So when you sign in, these are some of our courses that we are offering. Come to events recordings. You see events recordings? Come down here and you will see in upcoming events, you will see Python programming. Okay, it will be added there. We have past event. This was the one we did last month in February. You can open it up and you will be able to see the sessions for this Python programming, because we are building upon each session with the subsequent session. And when you open this, you will be able to watch the video, and at the same time, you can be able to download resources. So the resources, these are the lecture notes which I'm using. All right. So by the end of the day, within 24 hours, we will upload this one, because this is the first session of the March session. So it will be here, and just come to event recordings. You will see Python programming March 2024 here. Okay. And you will be able to access the first session recordings and you can watch it out. All right. Is that clear? Awesome. Okay. So let's go back to the session. All right. See you. Take care. All right, so this is all about strings. I hope it is clear. If you have questions with strings, let me know. And as I said, you can try the others yourself and practice with those ones that I have provided. Okay, so we are done with strings, but we know computers are very good with numbers. They are very, very good with numbers. So what do you do when you have numbers? How can you use them? And this is what we are going to see next in this next part. So let's look at some numbers. We have what we call integers, right? We have integers. These are whole numbers. Numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are all whole numbers. They do not have decimal places. So this we call them integers. And you can perform arithmetic operations, and that's where the power of computers are actually relevant, because they can do huge computation within a very small amount of time. So some of the computations that you are very much aware of are also supported by Python. For example, you have the addition. You can add two numbers, you can subtract two numbers, you can multiply two numbers, you can divide, you can do an exponential of two numbers. This is exponential. So this is the sign for exponential in Python. Other programming languages have different signs. But for Python, if you want to do 3 raised to power 2 or 3 squared, you will put 3 star star, 3 double asterisk 2, and that will give you 3 raised to power 2. 3 raised to power 3 is 27, so use the double asterisk. Others are using this sign. So, okay. But if you have combination of different arithmetical operations, then you will follow the head mass or the BOD mass. depending on the one you use. Okay, so if you say PEGMAS or if you look at BODMAS approach, we are talking about brackets. So the first evaluation will be brackets. In this case, we will evaluate things that are inside brackets. 2 plus 3 will be done first. This is off, which is also multiplication. This is division, also multiplication, addition, and then lastly subtraction. Same thing with BEDMAS, okay? But E here is exponentiation, exponential, which is something like this one here. So the P is a parenthesis. So depending on which English you are using, American or British, you can say parenthesis or bracket. Okay, so BODMAS or PEDMAS. So this is something I know everybody is aware of, and also Python follows the same convention. The next type of uh, data is plots. Okay, plots. These are the ones with decimal places, like pi, 3.142, and so on. So all these are called plots. All right. So when you are trying, this is something that you only see in some languages, and Python is one of those. You can see them. For example, this is not allowed in other languages. But you humans, we like to have uh, readable written text. And when we are trying to, let's say, write 14 million, what do? We use commas, right, to separate between every three zeros or three characters. And same thing you can do in Python. Python allows you to use underscore in place of the comma. Okay, so you can use the underscore to show that, okay, there is a difference, and this is just for your own readability. In fact, Python doesn't care whether you use the underscore or not. It is for your own sake. It's not like Python really cares about that. Another thing that Python allows you to do is to have multiple assignments. So you can have multiple variables, and you can assign the values to each one of them in one single line of code. If you are using other, let's say, programming languages, this is not allowed. Some allow it, but Python is one of those. Not many do allow it. So instead of saying x equals to 0, y equals to 0, z equals to 0, you have so many equality signs. We can just put x comma y comma z is equal to 0 comma 0 comma 0. If we said 0 comma 1 comma 2, that means x is 0, y is 1, and z is 2. So this is something you can do in Python. Okay. We also have constants. Constants are values that do not change with time. Constants are the opposite of variables. Variables change. Name is a variable, we say it can change. But here we can, let's say, have a constant called maximum connections, and we set it to 5,000. For example, Zoom has a constant value for me. If I'm using Zoom Pro, for example, I can have a maximum of 100 attendance in my event. So this is a constant term. They don't want it to change. But even though Python uh, convention, because Python does not actually have this constant, but what we normally used to do is we use caps to indicate when you are writing a code and you don't want people to mess with that value. Make sure you use the caps. Okay, we're writing the name of the variable. Use caps to indicate the name of the variable. Okay. Okay, so this is all right, Mauro. Bye. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Make sure you have caps so that people do not change. Why? Because Python does not support constant. So in the case where you change this value, where you do not use the caps and somebody goes and change the value of maximum connection, then maybe your app will break. And that's not something we would like to have. Okay, so let's try to avoid this misconception with our values. All right, so let's go to the next part, which is the next activity. I hope this is clear. Numbers, I believe, are very easy. Integers, plots. Then we have the concept of multiple assignments, as well as constant. How do you define a constant in Python? So let me know if you have any question. Otherwise, we can just move ahead and do the activities very quickly. I believe there are no questions. All right, clear. Awesome. Okay, so let's go through this one. So we have a simple activity here. It's saying write addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division operations that each result in the number 8. Okay. Be sure to enclose your operations in print calls to see the results. You should create 4 lines that look like this. Print 5 cross 3. This is an example. You should simply, you should simply be 4 lines, the number 8 appearing. Okay, so to get to the number 8, if we are going to do addition, we can have 4 plus 4, right? 4 plus 4 will give us 8 if we are doing addition. If we are doing subtraction, we can have, you know, 15 minus 7, right? Also will give us 8. For multiplication, can do 8 times 1, give me 8. For division, can do 8, divided by 1, or 80 divided by 10, for example. Okay, so I can run this, and you can see 8.0. So question here, why is it 8.0? Why not 8? This is an integer. This is also an integer. But then I'm getting 8.0 instead of 8. I'm dividing two integers. I should get 8 as well, right? Why is it 8.0? So Python has something that we call integer division. If you want the output to be strictly integer, you should use double division, like double backslash like this. Okay, so now you can see we print it out, it's also integer. Okay, but if you have the single one, it will assume it to be decimal places. So keep this in mind. If you know that what you want to see as output, for example, 80 divided by 3, we know this one is going to definitely return a floating number. But if I print it out, you can see 26. The plots are not there. So I do with the 3. Now I will see 26.66666 and so on. All right. So this is the simple activity. We have the next one, which I will allow you to give it a try. Uh, okay, so to use a variable to represent your favorite number. Okay, then using that variable, create a method that reveals your favorite number. Okay, I think this is a very nice one. So I will say try it out also. Okay, so I will allow you to do that. Okay, questions. Remember, if you try it out and you have an issue, you can do 2 things. One, you can reach out to me. You see, you can just do the art and you can tell me to check it out for you. And once I get my time available, once I get an available time, I will go ahead and try it out. Another approach is you can use our app, and let me show you how you can do that as well. Okay. So just quickly, let's go to the app. Okay, so if you come to the app, you will see learning tools. Come to learning tools, see assignment checker, click it, and you can check the courses. Let's go with Python programming. Let's go with code. Okay. All right. So I can copy the question directly from from my Google Colab. I will just copy it like this. Okay, I will paste it here, and then you can take a snip. You can use the snipping tool. You know snipping tool, I believe, right? On your PC, or you can just take a screenshot of your code. Okay, let's see where is my code. This is my code. Oh, you can only see. Let me share the whole screen. Okay, so I will take a screenshot my output. I will do something like this. Okay, I can save this to my desktop. Okay, say activity 2, for example. Okay, so with this, you can just come to the app. You can just upload from the desktop here. So I will upload it. It's uploading. Okay, success. Let's see, get feedback. So the AI that we incorporated in the system will analyze the question and look at the code that I provided. Okay. If it is an essay2, it will do the same. So when you have this assignment, you can do this and you will get feedback directly. So even if you have an error, you know, okay, you try to do it and you couldn't get something, you can actually do that. You will be able to see the output here. Sorry, I think something is wrong. Okay, so I will fix this. I think because we are currently working on the app, somebody might have focused. But this is where you will see the output. Okay, it will come here. It will tell you whether it worked well or not. So before the end of the day, you should be able to try it out. Okay, but this is just the steps that you can follow to see your output. All right. Sorry about this. I didn't check it out today. Okay, so let's move to the next part. Is that clear? So you have two ways to get feedback. Either you write a comment for me to check it out. Once I have my time, I will do that. And you can also use the app to get direct real-time feedback immediately. Okay, so now let's come back to the presentation. The next type of thing we're going to look at is called comments. So we have looked at strings, we have seen numbers, different types of strings, numbers, integer, float, we have seen them. Okay, so comments, what are comments? Comments allow you to write some English statement, or you can write even in Arabic if you are an Arab, or you can write it in Mandarin if you are Chinese, you know, or Spanish. The point is the computer will not evaluate and it will not execute that part. It is only meant for you so that later on when you come back, maybe after a year or two, and you take a look at your code, you will remember exactly what you were trying to accomplish with the code. And when you share this code with a friend also who was not the one that developed the code, once they read your comment, they will understand, oh, this block of code is trying to create a software or a system or a function that calculates the cycle or area of a cycle. All right. So this is a very nice thing to do. So we can say uh, whenever you are writing a code, as much as possible, try to write comments. This is important. Okay. So it allows you to write your notes in English so that you can be able to answer and help others. Awesome. So how do you write a comment in Python? Use hash, then write whatever comes after. The computer will ignore everything that comes after the hash mark. It will ignore everything that comes after the hash mark. Okay. So hello, say hello to everyone. So all this will be ignored, but the computer will now execute all the other codes that come afterwards. So this is what a comment is all about. And we have a simple example here, an activity. You want to just write a comment, you know, just like I told you earlier, when you are working in colab, okay, it's good to write your name so that I can differentiate your own attempt from the attempt of others, you know. Okay, so for example here, I can just put a comment. This is my own attempt. Okay, I can do this and you say, this is the attempt of Abu Bakr, you know. Check it out to see if there are any errors. Okay, so this is something we do. We write these comments to allow others to understand what these lines of code are going to do. Okay, And I can also write, okay, this block of code will return 8 as an output, you know. So when I come back the next day, I just look at this, I understand what this is doing. So the computer, this is why you see this is in what? It's in green. It's in green just to tell you that I'm not gonna execute this. The computer is telling you exactly that. All right. So this is a comment, and we always do that to make our code more readable and understandable to others, and as well as to ourselves. When you come back, I assure you, in the next 10 years or 10 days, sometimes, especially if you have, let's say, a lines of huge lines of code, you come back after 1 month, you are completely lost. It's your own code, you're the one who was typing it, but then it becomes difficult for you to figure out what was it that you are really working on. So the comments will help with that. Okay. All right. So let's move to the last part, which is getting things are getting more interesting now. So what we're gonna do now is to do what we call user input. So we have seen how the computer can print out stuff for us, how the computer can print stuff to us. But sometimes we want the computer to take some input from the user. Okay. Not everybody can program, people sometimes they don't know how to write a program. So what they want is for you to give them an application, just like the web app. Everybody who comes, he will write their name, and then the computer, I have coded it, put the code for it to be able to operate on the name and do some operations. So I wouldn't want people to come and then they will have to access the code and then go to where name is and change the name. You do not want that to happen. So what do? We allow an input. Input can come in different forms. It can come either as an input of a text field. We provide a text field for people to input, or it could be an input from a click. You can click on a web app. Like now on Zoom, I was clicking here and there and I was doing stuff like that, right? So clicking too is an input. You can even speak if the computer accepts speech as an input. You can speak to the computer, all right? So these are things that you can do. Okay, so one good thing is, let's say we are gonna take in the name. Okay, so we will say input and we will allow the user now to write the name. But we will have to provide a prompt. A prompt will be something that will serve as a hint, as a hint to the user. Because if you do not have a prompt, the computer will just be waiting, and the user will also be sitting there waiting. Computer is expecting an input from the user, but the user has no idea what the computer needs from him. But if you have a prompt to tell the user, please enter your name, then the user has an idea now, oh, my name is what is required for the app to continue running. So I will provide my name, and then the computer will say, hello, Abubakar. Okay, that's what the computer wants to do. Okay, so this \n is saying go to new line. This \n is the same thing as the enter key on your keyboard. Remember when you are typing on Microsoft Word and you want to go to the next line, you type enter key, then you go down to the next line, right? So in Python, we use this \n to do that. And when you see the previous one, we talk about \t. This one is used for tab. On your keyboard, you have the tab key, but if you want to do it in programming, you use the \t. So these are some two to keep in mind. Okay, so this is how you can use a user, but you have to use this input, input. Just like you use the print statement, you have to use the input statement. But once you use this input statement, the computer is going to pause until when the user enters some text. It will not continue. So make sure you always have this prompt. This prompt will tell the user what is expected of the user. Without this part to tell the user what we need, then the user will get confused because he has no idea what is expected of him. Okay, so once we get this input, let's say Eric was imputed, Eric is going to be stored in the variable called name. Okay, so Eric is going to be stored in the variable called name. Then we will have this print hello, and then see the curly braces, so name is going to be printed out like that. Okay, so let's move to the next to see. So this is also another example. For example, you are dealing with integers or numbers. Okay. Input by default assumes whatever is going to be imputed by the user is a string. Is what? String, not number. But sometimes our input could be numbers. You might want to have the age of the user. I will ask you maybe what's your age. Age is what? An integer, if you consider the age to be only whole numbers. Or it could be a float if somebody considers to add the months. I am, let's say, 18 years, 6 months, I can say 18.5. Or I can just say 18 since I did not turn 19, something like that. So this is a number, but since input by default assumes whatever is imputed as a string, we need to convert that string to a number. And how do you convert a string to a number? You wrap it with the int method. Okay, so you will put int. In this case, input. Okay, we have input. We ask the user how tall are you in inches, and the user inputs, let's say, 71. Okay, this is the input. So 71 is going to be stored in height, but height is going to be 71 because it's thinking that this is a string. So it's the same thing as putting 71 in this way, as a string. But we don't want height to be a string because it's a number. So what do? We can wrap it with what? Int. You can see int. So it will convert this 71 that is in string form to numbers. So height now will now become 71 instead of a string. Okay, so this is something to keep in mind. For example, we can even do some things. This we call them conditional statements. We will look at them in the coming sessions. Okay, so but this is the idea which we are talking about. So be careful when you have this input type. If your input type is float, also use the float. Okay, use float to wrap the input. You can say float height. So now we want to take the height in float numbers with decimal places. You can use float, you wrap the height, or you use int and you wrap the integer. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Is this clear before we do the activity? Awesome. Okay, so let's go to Google Colab and do a quick activity here. Okay. All right, good. So we have a very quick activity, a short one. Write a program that asks the user what kind of rental car they would like. Print a message about that car, such as, let me see if I can find you a Subaru. Okay, so this is the message that we would like to see printed out. So if I write, if for example, the user asks me, okay, yeah, Jan, go ahead. What's your question? You can unmute. See, you raise hand, right? Is it a question or by mistake? You raised your hand. Okay, maybe it was by mistake. Okay, yeah, so what if they answer a letter instead of a number? Very good. Because, for example, in the height question, right, we were expecting them to input a number, but then they ended up putting they ended up putting a letter, So once you now say, let me wrap that later. Let's say I ask them how tall they are, and they say 7'6", 7'6", something like this, 7'6", and then you wrap this to integer. The integer, the Python will look at this and say 7'6" has nothing, like it doesn't look like a number. Therefore, it will do what we call trace back. Okay, this will raise an error, kind of an alarm. It will tell you invalid input. Okay, of course, this is something that we normally handle. We have what we call error handling. It's an advanced technique where you handle some errors like this, and we can maybe ask the user we can tell them, since this is not number, we can tell the user, you know what, your input is not number or invalid input. I'm sure you have come across this. When you put some things in any web app and the computer tells you invalid input, I'm sure you must have seen this before. Invalid input. And this is exactly when you will have this kind of invalid input. Somebody writes a letter instead of a number, and then by writing this, the computer will raise an alarm, and the programmer is expected to handle such issues, to the user and report back to the user. Invalid input, enter the numbers or enter your age or your height in number or something like that. You will see that, no problem. I will show you how you can see that. But that is a good question, a valid one. Yeah, is that clear, Jan? Clear? Okay, so we will see how that will also be addressed. Okay, so what is this saying? Write a program that asks the user what kind of rental car they would like. Okay, so let's go. Or before we do this, why don't we try Jan's question? Okay, so as we said, height is equals to input. Please enter your height. Okay, and let's say height equals to, we will put the int, and now we want to convert the thing into something like this, and we like to print you are, let's use the f string, you are, let's put height tall, something like this. So let's print this. See, you see the computer is asking me, please enter your height, and the computer is stuck. It's going to wait forever until when I put my height. Okay, I can maybe put 12, and it tells me you are 12 tall, you are 12. So let's add inches, for example. Okay, you are 12 inches tall. Let's run it again. Let me put 71. Press enter. You are 71 inches tall. Okay, so let's see the situation where we put 71 in words, and press enter. Aha, you see, error is raised. Value error. Invalid literal for int with base, So this is something that is raised, and we have what we call error handling. It's part of the Python advanced. So what we normally do, we use what we call the try, and we try a certain thing. For example, we can put this. Okay, can put this at the try. Then you have the except. Let's see, please use only numbers. Okay, let's see 21. And I press enter. Invalid input, please use only numbers. So at least with this you have an idea how you can handle errors. So I hope this is clear, but this is just one way to handle that. Of course, when we go to the next concepts of what we call conditional statements too, you can have some conditional statements here. You can have some loops where you go back to the try once again. When now the user wants to, let's say, input the right, oh, okay, I'm not expected to put things in words. We're expected to use numbers. So he will now be able to put in numbers, and the computer will accept that, and then it will skip. Okay, all right, so this is that. Let's see this. I hope this is clear, Ian. This is how we handle this. This is, as I said, is part of the advanced Python technique that you use to handle errors like this. So here we are asked to ask the user to indicate the type of car. Now we can say car type as a variable, and we can say impute. Please So let's say you have a car rental company, a rental car company. Okay, which please choose the car you want. Yes, except is new. Yeah, we use except. We also have finally. You have else. Okay, it's all part of Python. We provide that as a way to handle such kind of exceptions. Okay, so we call it exception, error handling or exception, and all that. Please choose the car you want. Yes, it's used in that. Okay, so we want to do this, and once we get that, then we would like to print something like, yes, it's advanced topic. Yeah, let me see if I can find you a Subaru. Yeah, so error handling is part of advanced topic. Okay. So we don't want Subaru, right? So we will put the car type that the user indicates. So anything could be something. Okay, so let's run this and see. Okay, please choose the car you want. I can go with Toyota and press enter. Let me see if I can find you a Toyota. Let's try it with Benz, for example, Chevrolet. Press enter. Let me see if I can find you a Benz. Okay, yeah, Honda Accord 2024, for example. Let me see if I can find you a Honda Accord 2024. Okay, so this is okay. Let's do a very quick activity. Okay, let's see a calculator. No, so let's assume we want the user to bring in two numbers, and the calculator will do addition, subtraction, division of the two numbers. Okay, let's say number one. Number one is equals to input. Okay, enter the first number. So remember, since this is going to return what will this return? A string, right? So we are going to wrap this in integer like this. We want integers, we're gonna wrap it in integer. So let's do the same with num2 as well. Num2, we will wrap it also in integer. We will put the input, enter the second number. All right, so we want to print num1 plus num2. We also want to print num1 minus num2. We also want to print, let's say num1 times num2. Okay, you can say, why don't I also print num1 divided by num2, right? Yeah, you can do that as well. But you have to be careful with division. We have what we call the zero division error. What we had earlier when we were trying that example, we have value error. What was imputed by the user was an invalid input. Okay, but in this case, if num2 is 0 and num1 is any number that is not 0, for example, then this is going to raise what this type of operation will lead to what? Indefinite, right? Undefined, or you say infinity. Okay, so this is an error. The computer will return what we call zero division error. You raise that, and how do you handle that? You also use the try and except statement. Okay, you indicate that, okay, I am having an issue. Whenever you see zero division error, I want you to tell the user num2 has to be, or num2 should not be 0. You can have that in the try and accept. You tell it, okay, when it is a zero division error, tell the user num2 has to be positive. Okay, it has to be non-zero. All right, so we can run this. Let's put num1, let's go with 10. Okay, let's put num2, let's go with 20. All right, so num1 30, okay, the first thing we are adding 10 plus 20, 30, 10 minus 20, minus 10, 10 times 20, 200, and 10 divided by 20, 0.5. Okay, so questions? No questions? Okay, so let's move to the last part. Let's summarize because we have finished everything for the day. So let's recap quickly what have we learned. So we started talking about Python, how to install Python and how to get Python working. And we also see how you can sign up with the Google Colab. And we look at how you can write a simple Python code. Okay, we look at all this. We look at how we can do some troubleshooting when you have an error in input or in your code, how you can correct that. We look at how to work with variables. We have seen different types of variable, data types, and what have you. We talk about how to name our variables, make sure our names are descriptive, make sure that we are not using different things. We have looked at strings as a data type. The data type main can be yeah, trying to mute him, but okay. So let's quickly move on. I don't know why I can't. All right. So we look at string, lowercase, uppercase, and how to convert a string to title case. And we look at also how we can remove white spaces. Okay, we look at that. Also, we look at integers, floats, how we can work with them. We look at explanatory comments that you want to add in your code so that it is easier for you and others to read and understand your code. And finally, we learn how to use input to allow users to provide their own information into our programs. Okay, so these are the summary of what we've learned so far. So for additional assistance, as I said, as you work with the code, if you have any issue, you can write me a comment and I will get some time to go over it. And you can also use the AI to get a real-time feedback immediately. Okay, I will get it fixed in just a few minutes after this workshop. It is going to be fixed and you can be able to get your real-time response from the AI. Okay, so what do we, if you also want additional guidance, you can scan this barcode and you can book a meeting with me one-on-one. Maybe it is not Python you want to learn, or maybe you want to learn Python but from a different perspective, or anything related to AI, machine learning. Okay, you can reach out to me and I can maybe give you my own insight. It's free, so you can scan this. This is my Calendly code. I will also share it in the chat for you to use. So thank you. This is also my email. You can reach out to me directly via email as well. So I will share this two information with you, and let me know if you are having any issues with regards to the code. Okay, so any questions so far? Is it clear? Okay, so I hope to see you next week. We are going to build on what we've learned. We're gonna go into more advanced concepts, and I hope the session will also be as productive as this one. So thank you for being here, everybody, and have a good day, have a good night, or have a good evening wherever you join us from. Okay, bye. See you next week.